How do we feel about the Duke journals?
How do you feel about the Duke journals?
I hate them. Welcome to the official, unofficial Sea of Thieves podcast, a podcast dedicated to Sea of Thieves and other rare games, but mainly Sea of Thieves. In today's episode, we will be discussing the latest adventure, The Rogue's Legacy. In terms of gameplay and story, this one seems like a pretty straightforward ordeal. However, there is some additional lore hidden for those that pay attention. And one of those pirates that does pay attention is my wonderful co-host.
What's up, guys? It's ShinyRay again. This is like the 10th podcast about adventures now, and you can probably tell in my voice that we're gonna have a good discussion about this one.
All right, I hear you setting down a cup too. Do you need alcohol for this podcast?
No alcohol needed, not yet anyway.
All right, well, that's great. Before we dive into it, just like always, an announcement, because we're gonna beg for some money. Keeping the podcast alive is costing us more than we gain, so if you want to help us financially, you can use super thanks or you can buy a wonderful poster, and the links are in the description this time.
See, I always used to think what was going to come out first, the captaincy update or the poster link.
And captaincy won, so go figure.
To be fair, I think we started discussing the poster round about when captaincy came out, but you get the comparison. 4 years.
People are happy it's there, so please buy them too if you've been waiting for it. It's a really great one. I'm gonna get one too. So let's start with the summary. So this new adventure arc begins with Tasha, the ancient Spire tavern keeper, getting afflicted with the skeleton curse. She enlists Madame Olivia to help her, and Olivia comes up with the idea to draw even more memories from Brixie's skull in the hope this pirate found the cure to the skeleton curse. To do this ritual, we need to find some artifacts belonging to Brixie. Luckily, Tasha lends us her treasure-finding book that Brixie left her. During our quest, we hunt teacher skeletons for keys and pages to fill this book and solve all the riddles. Along the way, we also read journals left behind by the Dark Brethren, who are also on a similar quest to find a cure, but for their own means. When we deliver the 3 artifacts to Madame Olivia, she does some hocus pocus to withdraw even more memories, but apparently there's a delay in it because we need to wait about 6 weeks for these secrets to be released. So a quick summary, I think I got it all right.
There's not really much more to it.
It's very simple. It's nice. I like that in my review too, just to get the summary out of there and start with the opinion. So let's start with our opinions. Did we like this adventure?
Yeah, I like the adventure. It's in my top 5, but what does that really mean in terms of adventures,
Well, yeah, so it might be in my top 5 as well when I thought about it, even though I rank some adventures lower than you do, like the last adventure too, the Return of the Damned. Gameplay-wise, it was the perfect adventure, but I was not really into it because the choice didn't really matter all that much. And I like this adventure better because it just feels like a fleshed-out voyage. Like, it's a voyage, so it's pretty plain, but it's a good voyage. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, like you said with Return of the Damned, the gameplay was better than Lost Sands, but because the choice wasn't as polarizing, the engagement went right down. And with this one, like, I quite liked the gameplay, but the story isn't. There's nothing wrong with. Well, there is something wrong with the story, but we'll get to that later. There's nothing like inherently like glaring that's wrong with the Rogue's. The Rogue's Legacy, but it's just a bit,
Yeah, no, that's right. It's just a bit bland. Like I told it in my review, I said it's like vanilla ice cream. Like, it's nice, but it's not that special. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's a pity because we only see the NPCs in the beginning and at the end of the adventure. And normally you get interactions with Belle or Pendragon, or you see some memories. And there was nothing like that. Just journals to flesh out the adventure.
Yeah, I think we'll get to the journals obviously, but I think the journals were more interesting and like better at sort of playing a bit of Sea of Thieves than the actual main quest line. Does that make sense?
Yes, get what you mean. Like, they're setting up the future adventures for this arc.
Yeah, but again, there's another issue of that, but we'll get to it later.
Multiple issues.
There's multiple issues. they're all nitpicks, but you guys will probably agree. You'll probably agree with us once we bring them to light.
But let's focus on the better elements of this adventure. What were they, according to you?
I really liked the puzzles, in the sense that they sort of call back to the original 9 Tall Tales where they weren't so obvious. So I particularly liked the one where you had to figure out where Briggsy buried, which island Briggsy buried one of the chests. You spoke about the 5 on a dice, and that reminded her of the island south of Galleon's grave.
Mm-hmm.
And it took us ages to figure out it was not the shape of the island itself, but the shape of the islands. That was a really cool one. And I quite like the Crooked Mast one as well. That was cool.
Yeah, like we pretty much figured them out pretty quickly. Even the Trirock Island, I looked at the picture and I just recognized it before we even set sail. So you had this nice experience of solving where it was, and we didn't have that. The same for the Crooked Mast one. We just started digging at all the spots. We knew the island. We recognized it from the pictures. When we dug it up at the right location, it was like, oh, right, this is what they mean with ancient history. It's next to the painting. Obviously, it is. But it's still nice that we got some gifts with the other dig spots. But yeah, you're right. Like the best part of the adventure was the maps. It was really fun solving it all out.
I also liked how they actually made new models for the skeleton captains as well.
Yes, they did. Which is a bit weird lore-wise, because we read in the journals that, there's this focus on this mask, but these teacher skeletons also have that mask. So did that stuck out as weird, or you're like, nah, Briggsy made a couple just to be recognizable? How do you feel about that?
It calls back to Amaranta's journal where she talks about how whatever the quote-unquote animal is that is on the mask, it's fake and made up. So I guess Briggsy just made it. So she would have done the same with the skeleton captains.
I guess so. I mean, those hats look expensive, man. I don't want that. Wasting on skeletons.
At least we have them, unlike her jacket.
Indeed, yeah. But we got a compass. Aren't you happy with the compass?
To be fair, it's only the second compass we've had
in
the adventures, yeah.
I talked about it with one of the crew members, and we felt we had more compasses awarded to us, but
in the adventures.
Yeah, no, not the adventure. Also the Tall Tales. Like we get the rose compass, and we in the adventure we get the ghostly compass, and now we got another compass, but we never got a shovel, right?
Off the top of my head, no.
No, like it's time for a shovel, right? It gives us a Briggsy shovel.
Don't forget you have the servant's compass as well, but we don't earn that. That's probably why it feels like it's more.
Yeah, maybe.
And we have the ancient compass as well, and we don't get that either. Or do we? No, we get the spyglass, don't we?
Yeah, we got the ancient spyglass. That's correct. Oh well, I felt we've been getting a little bit too much compasses, but all right.
For me,
maybe not.
For me, it's not. There's not enough compasses. It's like the compass are all just a bit shit.
Yeah, I'm not gonna use this one. Yeah, you're right. Like yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna say like the sails. Like you did bring up the sails in your review, but I think they're quite a good memento because you can never have too many sails, can you?
Yeah, they go well with a lot of different ships. That's true, but it just feels all a bit too similar. And with the sails, they only need to have a new coat of paint, and you have new sails. And I want some more effort in the rewards. Yeah, that's all.
Maybe a hull. Would a hull be nice?
A hull would be nice, but like I said, I want a shovel. or a tankard or something like that.
Okay, right. Predict this then, right? So what are the two for this arc, because it's a Briggsy arc, let's say, what do you think the next two mementos are going to be?
Not the skull, if that's what you're going at. No, it should be jacket and skull. There you go. It should be jacket and skull.
I think it should be jacket and the Homeward Dove sails.
Okay.
Because the Homeward Dove sails exist, don't they, on Tribute Peak, but we haven't got them yet.
Oh, are those the sails on Briggsy's sloop?
Yep.
Oh, there you go. That's a great one. Yeah, I hope we get that.
In reality, I think the next one's going to be crap again, and then it's a toss-up between the jacket and the sails. I don't think they'll give the jacket to us. Here we go, bold prediction. Right, so we're going to have a crap reward for the next one. Then it's going to be the sails, and then in the season pass for season 9, it's going to be the jacket. Mark my words.
I'm afraid you might be right.
I think that's going to be 100% correct.
All right, we'll see. You might be right. Anything else you want to talk about gameplay-wise in this adventure?
A lot of sailing.
I didn't mind.
It,
I was just having fun.
it was fine. It wasn't as bad as Forsaken Hunter, but sailing from Plunder Outpost to Shipwreck Bay, and then you have to go all the way back from Kraken's Fall. It's quite a long while, especially if you want the journals as well.
Yeah, but then you are rewarded with the lore from the journals. I'm like, all right, that was worth it. It's not like like the Hunter adventure where we need to go to Bell first, or even the one that was before the last one, Herald of the Flame, where we also needed to go to Bell first just to report and then go back to the final island. So there was no backtracking. It was just sailing to new islands. So that's why I didn't mind it all that much, I think. One of the reasons, yeah.
I think the gang needs to really invest in boxes of Wondrous Secrets so they can talk to each other. See, you can use that idea for a Flameheart arc. We need to use the boxes of Wondrous Secrets.
Mm-hmm. I feel the writers forget the lore they set up anyway, so.
Oh yeah, we'll get onto that. Anyway.
A lot of teasing here. So before we dive deep into the lore, did you like the Dark Brethren getting back to the foreground?
Initially, when I saw those deeds, no. Because I was like, oh, Dark Brethren again. Yes, once I've read the journals.
Okay. I was just excited to see the Dark Brethren again. I'm really I'm more invested in that storyline than the Flameheart storyline, just because I like the characters a bit more, I think, and I also like the focus on Tasha and Briggsy, like flesh them out a little bit more, even though it feels pretty similar to how they were before.
Is it safe to assume then we're going to have Flameheart, Dark Brethren, Flameheart, Dark Brethren as the adventure arcs? Because I think that's what's going to be the case.
Well, I hope not. I hope not. I hope the focus gets on different NPCs too, or just a story that has nothing to do with the Dark Brethren or Flameheart. Like, I don't know, maybe the son of Merrick wants to hunt this sea serpent. I keep bringing it up. Maybe he wants to hunt hippos, and we have this big arc about a hunter's arc, and that's it. And it's a confined story. Maybe there's some overlap with the other stories, but it can stand on its own. I would like that. Yeah.
Fair enough. I'd much rather just all Flameheart, Athena stuff, and then the Brethren come in later, but...
Yes, I'm not surprised at your answer, but I like everybody to have a story.
It's okay, we only have to wait a whole year for Flameheart to come back after the whole Flameheart story started up again.
He's taking a nap in that box, isn't he?
Oh, right. Let's not get onto that.
All right. So let's go into the lore proper now. The Dark Brethren are also here. Why are they here? They're also looking for the same cure to the skeleton curse. Why do the Dark Brethren want that cure?
So Wanda doesn't want it for herself because, like Flameheart, she's embraced the skeleton curse. But she does want it as a bargaining chip for other skeletons. So she's hoping to find the cure to possibly win over the Ashen Lords, possibly use it on the Gold Hoarder, even though he's a staff at the moment. I don't know. I think they forgot about that, didn't they?
It'll be him just fleshy head, just dripping blood on that staff.
Yeah, and
that's his fate. He'll be talking. He'll be a tool, but he'll keep on talking.
Exactly. Yeah, that is really gross to think of. I don't think they'd do that in Sea of Thieves.
It won't be so cool. Yeah.
But
oh well.
More importantly, maybe the captain wants it, but from what we know about him, he also likes the skeleton curse. Again, there's more contradictory lore depending on how far you go back, but yeah, it's essentially so she can use it to recruit people, because at the moment the skeletons don't really have any other choice apart from Captain Flameheart.
That's true. But she also mentioned Flameheart potentially turning back, right?
She questioned whether Flameheart wanted, I can't remember the exact quote, but it was like, I embrace my skeleton curse, but does Flameheart, he seems intent on returning to his mortal frame, I think she said.
Okay.
What?
That's weird, right?
Does she mean like from the Sea of the Damned into his bones? Because that doesn't really make sense, because he still wants to be a skeleton. But we've literally just had a comic that reiterates, firstly we had the book, and then we have all the Reaper's Lair stuff. And then we've got the comic that says Flameheart loves being a skeleton because of the power that affords it, that he gets out of it. And then we have Wanda going, oh yeah, I'm not really sure if he likes being a skeleton. You were his thrall for like 2 years, woman. Like, how do you not know that?
Yeah, it seems like it seems a bit weird, and also doesn't feel like Wanda at all times, because she seems like a more crazy version of a skeleton. Like, she's like, I am the Warsmith, I will triumph, nothing and no one will stop me. And like with capital letters, and she never wrote like that before, so she does feel a little bit more skeleton, so to say, and a bit less Wanda.
Maybe it comes from the fact, like we see in the book with Flameheart, gradually you get more consumed by the skeleton curse as time goes on, where he initially would just use it as a means to like fight people. And Duke says eventually he took it too far and started to attack like harmless people and like fishermen and shit like that. So it could be the sort of the years after she's become a skeleton, and that's just taking more of a toll on her mind.
Maybe, because we have these lines like, perhaps I'm wrong, although I seldom am. And it's, I don't know, it just feels a little bit out of character, I feel.
It's a bit cheesy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's also a bit weird because Amaranta says Wanda embraced the skeleton curse, Brixie should too. I don't get why Brixie didn't. And in a later journal, we read Wanda writing about Brixie being a rabid dog when she became a skeleton lord. So obviously it didn't benefit Brixie being a skeleton. So and Amaranta must know this as well. So I don't really get the conflict there.
It also sort of conflicts with the dialogue when you like overhear Brixie at the camp before you fight her, and how she's like desperate to become human again, and she's actively working towards that rather than acting like a rabid dog.
Oh, yeah.
By and large, we fight her because she's defending herself.
That's true, yeah. I have heard theories that Amaranta could be Brixie. Have you heard of that?
No.
Well, so I'm not saying I believe in this, but Brixie might already have escaped her curse, like a separated soul, and part of that became Amaranta, the part that escaped, and the other part became the rabbit dog skeleton.
I mean, they would have similar appearances of blonde curly hair.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess Amaranta's meant to be an attractive character like Brixie, but don't we see Brixie at the end of the Shores of Gold? And she looks quite a bit different, and she's got unique hair.
Oh, yeah, that's true. All right, well, sorry for that guy that commented.
Hang on, but then again, that doesn't mean anything, because that can just easily be retconned, so...
They never do that, retcons in Sea of
They've
Thieves.
never, ever rewritten lore, even though they said they've written everything out from the start. Yeah, I believe that.
I think it's just a note, just so those yellow sticky notes, and there's like, oh yeah, the Flameheart, oh, he will come back, and we have port times, and the Grand Marathon unit's gonna go. All right, that's a roadmap, guys. Let's stick to it.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's it.
Don't get me started on the comic as well. In fact, we'll get to that later, but yeah.
All right, I have not read it yet, so maybe in different time to discuss would be better.
Okay, fair enough.
Unless it needs to be discussed. First of all, if somebody gets the cure, because I think we're going to get the cure in the future, will we see someone turn to the Flash again?
It could be a decision point. Could be whether Flameheart becomes... I don't want another decision point about Flameheart, because he's had his decision now. At least not for a while. But, you know, people have speculated that maybe we get to choose whether he stays the Skeleton Lord or becomes human again.
Or maybe Junior, like it would help giving him more personality if he were human again.
Yeah, I guess my own personal wants for the dynamic between the two of them, I want them to stay father and son, but it seems that Rare are saying out the fact that Senior's going to do something awful to him, which sucks. So maybe you're right with that one. Who I think Brixie would be the only one, and if anything, Brixie would join Athena's fortune to help defeat Flameheart.
I don't think so. I think she remains this this wild card. Like, she's known as a wild card, not exactly good, not exactly bad either. Just an adventurer that likes to do it her way. And I don't think she can be persuaded to join Athena. I think that's not Brixie.
Although you say that she's a neutral party, we very much see Slate deemed as a neutral party, but when we see them, when the Kraken attacks at Golden Sands, Slate and Brixie like hop on to defeat the Kraken and help Ramsey. And a more pirate thing to do with Brixie would just be to run away. But I guess she likes the adventure and stuff. But Brixie's a very much good character. Like, maybe she's like neutral good or chaotic good, but she's not a bad character, and she hasn't done anything bad by any means. The only people she's killed seems to be out of self-defense.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. And it's a good thing you brought it up too, like with the Slate as well. I think they just want to be free, but if something threatens that freedom, then they'll jump in.
Yeah, depending. So they're probably happy that they're probably unhappy that Ramsey's allowing the GMU into the shores, aren't they? I'm sure they'll do something about that.
Well, he doesn't really know, right, Ramsey?
Which is actually, I don't know if that's worse or better.
Yeah, we've had the discussion before, but it's obvious to us players, but I don't think it's meant to be obvious to the people in the Sea of Thieves.
Fair enough.
But we'll see what happens with that. I wanted GMU to arrive, actually. Like, I think that's going to be interesting gameplay wise.
Same.
But our bet is Flameheart, our best bet to be turned to the Flash.
If we don't have a choice. See, it could be a choice, but Rare could just do it anyway, couldn't they?
Yeah, that's true. Like, I want it to be a choice. Like, maybe we can even choose between Tasha and Wanda or something like that.
You know how the team are quite happy to reference, like, pirate media in their stories? What if Sea of Thieves ends, like, you know, the end of Pirates of the Caribbean World's End, when the what do you call it? The East India Trading Company. No, that's the fifth film. This is the third film, and Lord Beckett is about to destroy the Black Pearl, and then the Flying Dutchman comes up from the sea, and he thinks that they survived, and Davy Jones is going to help destroy the Black Pearl, and it turns out it's Will Turner on there. I bet you they're going to do the same thing with a Burning Blade and Flameheart against the GMU. I bet you.
All right, we'll see. Could be interesting.
Yeah, and he'll come back as a human, and he's good again, and then I bet you that's how Sea of Thieves ends.
I don't want Flameheart to be turned good, but I want him to remain evil.
I don't want
a bit more grey though. Bit more grey.
Yeah, I think he should turn more grey because that's what was hinted at before, but that's gone to shit, hasn't it? But I digress.
Yeah, we are digressing a lot. Like, it's these damn journals. They leave a sour taste in our mouth, and it expands to the rest of the lore. But whatever. So Flameheart could be the case, Junior. It would be nice if it was a community choice. I kind of like the fact that people say, "Oh no, Tasha's obviously gonna get healed." Do you think so?
No.
Okay, see, I also don't think so. It could go either way. I kind of don't mind her becoming a skeleton, or that we are too late for her to get the curse. And maybe we do need to choose, but we'll see. I don't think it's too obvious, Tasha being cured.
Maybe, and I don't think this will be a choice, maybe there's only like room for one cure, and she'll give it up so Brixie can come back. She loves her so much.
Oh, that would be beautiful. It's not going to happen. It's too good for that. Something else that we can confirm, or something you noticed, is you noticed how Tasha got cursed in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So do you care to elaborate on that?
So it only really makes sense once you've read the journals, but basically Wanda admits that they're not going to find the cure for the curse just by retracing Brixie's steps. So they decide they'll basically harm someone who's close to Brixie to sort of draw her out of hiding if she did find the curse. So this is a lot of ifs now. The cure to the curse, sorry. So if you watch the trailer, when Tasha goes to bed, you see like a green flash. She leaves the tavern and you see a green flash at night. And that's all there is to it. And then she comes back, finds the compass, and then her hands becomes all skeletonized. I think that's how the trailer goes off the top of my head. And therefore it's implied that maybe the compass wasn't cursed initially, but it was after that green flash, and that green flash was someone using the staff to hop in from the Sea of the Damned and inflict Tasha with the curse, be it through a chalice, be it through water, be it through cursing the compass, but the Dark Brethren are definitely behind it.
Yeah. Like, I didn't catch that, but that green flash is indeed similar to the green flash used to those that hop between the portals in between the Sea of the Damned and the Sea of Thieves. Which brings me to another theory of mine, because when you drink from the goblet, you turn into a skeleton instantly. But with Tasha and also with Wanda, it's more gradual. So is there a difference between how they got cursed? Like, I think if you touch something, it goes gradually, but if you drink it, like consume something, it's instant. How do you feel about that?
Inconsistencies here. So Junior seems to drink from the chalice, and it happens over a period of time. In fact,
yeah, that's true.
In fact,
Yeah.
he's in the book. Here's another thing. In Tales from the Sea of Thieves, he drinks from a silver goblet, and he does play with the idea that it could be the water, it could be the goblet. But the comic actually confirms it's the water, and it shows him drinking from the stream with his hand. So it looks like the writers have decided which it is. But who's to say the objects aren't like a conduit for the curse? So say when we do the ritual of the flame, that the chalice used there does it instantly. Or if you've put your hand in a chest of rage, then you drink from it, you become an Ashen Lord. It seems like there's different ways to skin a cat here, or skin a person, should I say. And it really depends on what you come into contact with, if you drink it, and if there's anything that sort of boosts your transformation. So yeah, like, we still don't know, but it does seem to lean towards the water, or more so the sap from that tree in the Reaper's hideout.
Yeah, I think it's just different ways to do it.
And
I always thought.
yeah, it does seem there is different ways, and we've got the Gold Hoarder as well, who seems to have it from. People think it's his throne. I think it's probably the gold in there, but who's to say the gold? The gold could be infused with that tree sap and cause the curse. We still don't know for sure with that one.
Yes, well, it's also a combination, because he also gets the gold curse as well, the gold horror. He seems to be afflicted with that as well.
See, I've always been confused with that one. Like, does he has the gold curse, right, in the book? But
Yeah.
it seems to imply the way his skeleton is that he replaces parts of his body with the gold.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because
I
he did
think
the
he did.
same with the
Yeah.
Veil Stones, and I think he's done it with his jaw as well.
Yeah.
So again, like, conflicting information, because in the book
Well,
he does say he's got like a metal arm, doesn't he?
yeah, that's true. It's just Chris ruining all the lore from the game.
We need, like, I think briefly, like, I think there's so much negative space at this point, and it gets more negative space gets added each month. It's just getting too much and confusing for us and the writers.
Now we're doing our best for our listeners,
Yeah, like, we have to sit down and like discuss this, or like, or we have to like look through it to make a video on it, and it's just. God, I'm currently making the complete story of Sea of Thieves, and there's so much I have to leave out just for the sake of conciseness and clarity.
Yeah, it's true. It's not that we're super confused, because we know where the errors are, but they just need to. There's some holes that need filling, and we know where the holes are.
Maybe we should be the negative space writers. Like, they give us a thing, we have to fill in the negative space, and we tick it off the list.
Yeah,
We have to discuss it with Mike and Chris and say, like, are we happy with this? Can we move on now?
Wouldn't mind that.
If you're listening, give us jobs. Zero writing experience.
So now for the $1 million question. What's up with the greenery on the wilds?
So I really wasn't I was expecting to get a explanation for this, but it's not even touched upon at all, as far as I know.
Not a single hint.
The only hint I've thought of, and this isn't true because the journals aren't found across all patches, but all the journals are found in, all 8 of them are found in the patches, right? So
Yes.
what if the Brethren hopping in at that point and leaving the journals, they have this sort of Sea of the Damned energy on them. And because the Sea of the Damned allows you to look into the past, it's projecting an image of the wilds before the meteor showers happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like an illusion. It's not actually real. It's just the journals giving off that energy.
Oh, the journal is giving all the energy.
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
been left behind.
Hmm.
And all that could be points where they've used the staff and something's gone wrong. But the fact that journals are found by the greenery seems that the Dark Brethren using that staff and the Sea of the Damned has something linked with it.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Also because they're on the trial of Briggsy, and like, how can they be on the trial of Briggsy? Because we know where Briggsy is. Her skull is at Olivia, and her corpse is rotting somewhere on Snake Island. So I think they use the greenery are a means to follow her past adventures.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And apparently they saw her fail as well, and then they changed the text, because how do they know she failed? Like, they must have seen it, right?
Surely, yeah. They do mention that because they've got access to the Sea of the Damned, they do have like esoteric knowledge on this sort of shit.
Oh, what do you mean with that?
So they've got information that we otherwise wouldn't know about because they can use the Sea of the Damned to their advantage. Like they can look into the past.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Okay. So will we see more of the greenery going forward?
It depends if Rare wants to make this a whole map change.
Okay.
Because I'm in two minds. Like, I don't want the wilds to change into just the Shores of Plenty, but also I feel like Rare would change it just for the sake of change.
Okay. Well, similar. Like, I don't want it to be another Shores of Plenty. Like, even though it's my favorite region, I don't want the wilds to be, a copy of that. And it's a pity too, because the vegetation in the wilds is different than in the Shores of Plenty. However, in these green patches, like trees, they're a different species of trees. They're the species of trees that's in the Shores of Plenty, and not the trees that are in the wild. So it's not a younger version of that vegetation. No, it's a copy of the Shores of Plenty, and they should have made that different. I don't mind it being green, but it should be different, and it's not different.
Yeah, I think they will do it. Oh, I don't know. Think of the time and energy. Well, not the time, but like reusing all the assets from Shores of Plenty and giving the wilds a complete makeover. Maybe an island or two would be okay, but I can't see them doing the whole thing.
No, I don't think it will happen, because you want that in your pirate fantasy too, right? You want those ragged rocks and those more dangerous seas. That's also part of the pirate fantasy. It's not all, yellow beaches. So
I like the wilds for what it is, so I'd be really disappointed.
we'll see, but we don't think so.
Well, fingers crossed anyway.
I think these patches will eventually disappear. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll get bigger and maybe an island, and then they'll go back eventually.
Yeah, maybe there's some magic that makes it permanent on one island, or maybe there used to be an island somewhere, and they used their staff to look into the past, and we have this new lush island in the wilds that was completely destroyed by a meteorite. That would be cool.
Here's when they do the whole of Old Faithful, and they go, "What, you wanted us to change Old Faithful? And it's just a really big island still, just looks nicer."
Hi. All right, so let's go into the controversy. How do we feel about the Duke journals?
How do you feel about the Duke journals?
I hate them. Like, I read it and I was like, all right, this sounds like old Duke. And in my head, I was like, all right, he's referring back to his older self. Like, he probably had a little grog to drink and then wrote it down. And then I was like even if you are drunk Duke or old Duke, you still wouldn't write like this. Like, he writes like he speaks. Even somebody who speaks like old Duke doesn't write like that. And then I was like, how were his older journals? And I asked you about it because I knew what it was. It was written in plain English. And you confirmed that. And I was like, I was disappointed. Just the lack of attention to detail. Yeah.
It didn't help that the journal was absolute nothingness as well. Like,
What was written down, you mean?
yeah, like it was just a load of fluff. And Wanda's journals are probably the best ones. There's the Amaranta one, which is okay, but Duke's is just like, yeah, if I want something, I ask for it, and if they don't, I punch them in the face. And you're like, this is even more offensive considering that the book had just outed him as a really learned guy, even when he was a skeleton. And come to think of it, Duke has always been a bit posh. Even when he was a pirate, he's probably like, he forgot how to read and write. And then you have the Sunken Kingdom where he's like, oh yeah, I cleaned up my penmanship skills because of, I guess, Umbra helped him. And then it's like, oh, I'm like Merrick now because of reasons, and I could have had a drink, but we've had drunk journals from Merrick and they don't even sound like this. Sorry for being overly negative, but it's sloppy.
It's sloppy. Yeah, it's sloppy. There's no other word for it. It's just sloppy. Like my favorite, if I would work for a video game company, this would be my job. Like making sure all the journals match with the writing style, making sure each character sounds unique, but keep the consistency. And the consistency is just gone with these journals. Not only Duke, also Wanda. We've talked about that. She sounds a little bit more mad in the head, or a bit more aggressive when she was a little bit more collective as the mysterious stranger. And yeah, they massacred her boy for a second time. And I don't like it.
It just feels like, I don't know how these adventures are made internally and what the teams look like, but it seems like each arc is made by a different team, and they have different managers that sign off on things, and each manager has a different level of knowledge or has been working on the game for a different time, or is more willing to just go to Mike and say, is this right, Mike? Can I have a look at the lore Bible? Like
the lore post-its.
The post-its, yeah, the Trello board. And this feels like, it feels rushed, and I think that is part of the course for these adventures. They don't, if you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. This is what these adventures sort of feel like now.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go as far as that. I still really enjoy it. I just wish there was some more consistency in the lore in these journals, particularly.
My big gripe with it, Blubber, is that we're not sat here talking about all the new cool lore reveals or the questions. We're talking about how the adventures are falling short and these silly mistakes are slipping through the cracks on the podcast.
That's true.
Which,
that's true.
Like, granted, there's criticism about the tall tales and stuff, and some of them were really quite difficult when they came out, and some were just ridiculously long, what have you. But I don't think I've ever sat down and said, like, the plot for the Shores of Gold was really convoluted and confusing, and there's loads of negative space. And even when you take into account the Athena's Fortune novel and then the Tall Tales, like, they're really well synced.
Yeah.
And this, like, we got Heart of Fire and that new comic and the adventures, and they're not really lining up too well.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're sat here talking about it instead of, like, talking how cool the lore is, which is just really disappointing for me.
Yeah, Short's Goal was really tightly packed. And to be fair, I had to play it a couple of times to really get all the connections. But when you do, it's like, all right, people thought about this, and then they kind of let it slip.
Yeah, like I read the book before Shores of Gold, and just going through Shores of Gold and having all these novel tie-ins and like that sort of cross-linking was just a treat. It was fantastic.
It's interesting. I had this discussion with Ilwash about fantasy adaptations in TV series. And we were like, all right, so if you're involved in the project, if you're an actor or director or even an editor, you should have read the novels. Otherwise, you're not allowed on the project. I feel the same needs to be for video games. Like read the Chris Alcock novels so you don't make mistakes in Duke's character.
Or at least don't sign off on them if you're a manager. You're a producer.
Aye, indeed. Especially lore stuff. Like Mike needs to read everything before he approves it. Or at least do a spell check.
Oh yeah, like there's one.
In one of the Wanda journals, there's a spelling mistake as well.
Yeah, bean was spelled wrong. Like they have been is BENE.
Beings,
no,
right?
No, BENE instead of bean.
All right, so there's 2 spelling mistakes then.
Yeah, there's more in like the titles and descriptions and stuff, but by the by.
Aye. All right, let's not berate him too much for spelling errors and typos. Duke not feeling right is way more important. All right, so that's how we feel about Duke journals. How do you feel about the ending of this adventure?
It's a bit crap, really. Not the ending, really, just the reason for it. Like, just show us the memories and then just say, Olivia's like, I need time to interpret these and I need to discuss these with the other order members.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of saying, oh yeah, the magic's been like pretty slow recently, like flame art coming back, and I did do the curse rogue for you. That was a pretty straightforward ritual. This one's going to take time. Like, I did that one instantly, and this one's going to be 4 to 6 weeks, probably looking more like 6 weeks based on the whole Christmas thing coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the adventures recently have just been like, oh, we have to wait for the Festival of the Damned, even though it's actually in November because of our delays and stuff. Like, it just... Do you know what it feels like? You know those cartoons, like, next time on Yu-Gi-Oh! It feels like that, and not in a good way.
This remembers me Dragon Ball Z, like Goku keeps charging that spirit bomb. Should have been Olivia just charging that skull for 6 weeks.
Oh my god, like, find out next week on Dragon Ball Z.
Also, she glued that skull back together because she destroyed it before. So,
Olivia, we need you to stop smashing the skulls. Sometimes we need to look at them again. Oh, right, yeah, I'll sort that out. Don't worry.
I think she gave Stitcher Jim a call asking to borrow that super glue that he's using.
Oh, Stitcher Jim's not available. He's what? He got turned into Captain Flameheart. Oh God.
All right. I still want his glue. Do you got his possessions? Because he also fixed that skull, right? So, all right, whatever. But yeah, the ending. Back to the ending. It's on one hand, it's fine because we know the nature of these adventures. It does feel a little bit anticlimactic. Like an appearance of the Dark Brethren would have been nice, or maybe some of the memories being revealed, setting up the next adventure. But we don't get that. We just need to wait.
A good example is, like, you know how at the end of Thoughts of the Forgotten, there was like, I need to consult Merrick because I need to summon the Shrouded Ghost. Like, that's obviously going to take time to get a hold of him. Like, that's a good example of it. But when it's like, oh yeah, we just have to wait because reasons. Yeah. I know it's going to be annoying thinking of reasons each time, but just have like a closed ending to an adventure and then just carry on rather than leaving it open.
If they can think of new map quests to do, which, to be honest, like, they're great. Like, how I wouldn't be able to do it. Like, I would do X marks the spot. Maybe I came up with a riddle, but they have so many versions of these now, and they're always new. So if they can do that, they can also think of different endings.
I agree.
All right. So before we go to the messages, one final bit. Tasha's dialogue didn't change. Was that true, by the way? Because the options to ask her are the same, but the answers are still different than the answers she gave when the game came out. So I don't know if they changed it for this adventure or if it happened before. Because the question, like I said, the questions are the same. You can ask her about, I think, treasure, or about, do you know of any pirate legends? And at the beginning she was like, oh, I don't know. But now she's like, oh, this Brixie girl, she was really good. So do you know when they changed that?
No, I don't know. So someone did comment on my videos saying that they did change them for this adventure. But I firstly, like, obviously that all the options were the same, but the answers could be different. But again, I don't know when these changed. She shouldn't be in the she shouldn't be in the tavern anyway, but
I got a minute out of my video because I didn't want those comments.
I'd do it if I'm wrong. Fuck it. Yeah. She shouldn't be in there anyway, but you know, if they have changed it, that would have been for the run up to the adventure and not for the adventure itself.
Yeah, that's true. She doesn't talk about being cursed herself, just that curses are dangerous when picking up treasure. So there you go.
Fair enough.
Maybe they did change it. It is different. It's different than when the game came out, but that's all we can say.
But yeah, why?
All we can know for sure.
Sorry. Why is she in two places at once?
I don't know. Why is Amaranta in 7 places at once? Like,
Oh yeah,
I
she
don't know.
was, wasn't she?
I'm not really bothered by that, to be honest. No. Sorry.
Amaranta, Larina.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Lorena. I meant Lorena. I got my girls confused. Sorry about that.
To be fair, like they have had goofs like this before with Stitcher Jim being like meters away from Grace and she just didn't know.
Like,
Yeah, if I ever see
exactly.
Stitcher Jim again, he's in the tavern. What? He's there. He's leant up against the bar.
She had some ash in her eyes.
Oh.
There was back when the volcano was still active on the Morris Peak outpost. Now she would have noticed.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough, Grace. And she's getting on a bit as well, to be fair to her.
All right, let's go to the messages.
Mm-hmm.
The messages are great, actually. I thought they were going to be a bit similar to what we discussed before, but they're really original. So the first one comes from Thromsu. Since adventures are made in a short time period, more lore goes into the journals. This adventure and Adventure 7 are the biggest examples. One thing that slightly bothers me about them is that they still use the dialog box UI, a little boring and plain. Should the journals be updated to work like Captain's logbooks, even if they don't have any drawings in them, just having a physical book that can have little details like ink inconsistency would help a lot. What do you think? Can journals use a little work?
Yes, that's a fantastic idea. Because we have the technology, because we've got the captain's logs. So, just have us flick through them. And also stop the skeletons spawning to interrupt my journal reading as well. But that is a really good idea. I love that.
I like that too. I like it a lot, actually. Because one thing that's also really good about this adventure is actually the book itself. Like those little notes that Tasha made. Like I didn't really go into it in the review, but stuff like that really helps give it a more, personal touch. And if you can do it with the other journals, why not? That's a great idea.
You could have, the bouts of wonder saying, "Oh, I'm not wrong." Like have that in like big, like scratched out letters, like she's proper angry at the paper, and then carry on writing as normal to show the duality of her sort of mind.
Hi, and you can have puke in the Duke journals.
Yeah, or, or like some like soggy pages or something like that. Spill his grog on there.
Hi, exactly. So thanks for that, Ramsu. That was a great good question.
What would what would Amaranta's perk, like the little quirk, be of the journal?
She draws little hearts in front of her, on top of her eyes.
Or she has like little scribblings of her and Wanda being together. You never know.
She did say Briggsy was pretty on the eye.
Well, we know Amaranta is bisexual based on not the Tall Tale, sorry, the what's it called? The tabletop book.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah. So,
I thought she was lesbian. I got lesbian vibes, but there you go.
Well, what she definitely likes women. We know that.
Yeah. Anyways, back on topic with message in the bottle. The next one comes from Steel Skull. I like that they're using these adventures to focus on lesser known characters like Tasha or Briggsy. So I'm wondering what other characters you would like to see get their own adventure arc. I would love to see an arc dedicated to the likes of the Ferryman or someone minor like Umbra.
The Morningstar crew would be nice for me.
Again?
Yeah, we haven't had an adventure or tall tale with them since, I guess, Eli was Pirate's Life, but since before that there was like 2 with them.
Yeah, 2. So that's more than the Ferryman, for example. Oh no, that's not true. Well, Ferryman does make an appearance in the Pirate's Life Tall Tales.
Oh, actually, I take my answer back. I would like some adventures with Lesedi and her crew from the comics.
Lesedi is the daughter of the Pirate Lord.
Yeah.
All right.
Why the long pause?
No, well, because I was thinking if I knew the story. So can you elaborate on that story because I haven't read the comics?
Essentially, when Lesedi and DeMarco before they enter the Sea of Thieves, they get a note from their father. They basically have to find a cursed pistol, which is the other half of the unfired pistols that are in Rowena's tavern. And if anyone's near these pistols that you can't fire guns, is basically a thing to keep the peace. And they go on an adventure as like they race against each other with their separate crews to find the other pistol. and they tangle with like the Gold Hoarder and stuff. It's a decent read. It's not the best of the comics, but it really introduces you to the characters and their like actual crew. All the characters that make up the crews are really interesting as well because all very varied.
Okay, and they're all alive.
Yeah, so the last one we've heard of was Melee Silvertongue, and during Ash and Wind, she was captured with Captain Adelheid by Warden Chi, and they like broke out of the fort together.
All right, would be cool. I personally would like to see the minor of minor characters. Like Umbra is a great idea, but also the ones you don't think about, like Stefan from Stefan Spoils, or Steven from Steven Spoils. Pick either one, or just like one of the trading companies, like Chester, or another member of Merrick's family. I want to have a hunter's arc, so I want to hunt for a big creature, and one of those NPCs would be perfect for that. So the lesser known they are, the better. I think the choices.
For me, I think you got to strike a balance between well-known and basically nobody NPCs. I get the intent,
but you make them bigger, right? You make them bigger. Like Tasha was very small, and now everybody knows Tasha. And the same can be with I don't know, with Derek or Merrick or Sarek or Larrick or Herrick,
Hendrik.
Henrik, yeah.
No, I agree with that, but I don't know. My view on it is that there's so many characters from the extended universe that just haven't been touched on at all. Like these adventures are perfect for introducing them.
Yeah, but on the one hand, you said you want to focus on Flameheart, so do you really want more characters in the story then?
Well, the question was if I want like smaller characters, or I would be happy with it. I'd be fine with it. But I'd much rather an overarching, consistent narrative that doesn't break away from things just because of how they're made. Like we have a break of Flameheart because they need to make they need to write the next Flameheart adventures, right? I'd rather a coherent story like 9 Tall Tales instead.
Yes, but we all do. All right, so all right, let's stop our crying. The next one is from Trickster, Diving Bell, and the Merfolk. Do you know what he means with that?
Is that just the question?
Just Diving Bell and the Merfolk, that's all.
Is there a question mark after that?
Nope, not even a question mark.
Oh yeah, I know what he's on about, but there's a lot to cover there.
It does have to do with the adventure.
From Tales of the Sea of Thieves.
All right, then we're not going to talk about it. So Trickster, you should read the announcement. Like this is about adventure, and I'll ask for questions. So try again next time. The next question. Yeah. So the next question comes from Captain Jägner. He has 2 questions, which I don't like, Jägner, because I asked for one. But since they're so good, we'll do it. So the first question is: since we know the Brethren are out again, wanting the cure to blackmail skeleton lords for their servers, according to your previous podcast with Mike, are they going to do something to Redbone?
They seem to imply it in the journals, don't they? But
yeah,
there's the whole
they mention him.
There's the whole thing of him on the staff. I guess if they turn him into a human, the eyes will just pop out, and then they've got 2 Veil Stones then.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, but then they need to do the ritual again, right? Don't you think?
Maybe? I don't know. Do we think... We know Rathbone embraces an element of his skeleton curse, because he can... he uses it to amass wealth, and part of his allure is that he's this powerful creature that commands the Gold Hoarders through fear. So if he was a man, could he do that? Probably not. But then again, the Gold Hoarders tend to be cowardly by nature, don't they?
Yeah, but do they know their Gold Hoarder is still alive?
I assume so.
Okay, because I always thought that their big leader disappeared and they don't know where he is, but they just like, all right, well, let's keep the company running anyways. That's how I read it.
I suppose they're so enthralled by the gold that they just carry on as is, just not to risk that being upset. And they were frightened with Flameheart coming back that they locked all the stuff in the vaults of the ancients. So then again, the Gold Hoarder dies in quotation marks. Then he comes back to work with the Brethren. we don't know. Like, I feel like this should be more clear.
Yeah.
It's
But
like
would we want it? Rathbone being human again?
I'd like to see what he looks like outside of the description of the book, but I don't think it. I don't think Rathbone cares as much as he does about gold. So, like, why would he care about becoming? Because basically, what I'm saying is, as a skeleton lord, he's not. He's not conflicting with his lust for gold. If anything, it's
Hmm.
making it easier for him.
Yeah.
So, I don't get why Wanda could just not understand what the Gold Hoarder is about. But why would he want to become a human again, which makes him vulnerable? You know.
Yeah.
And he
I
does say the
mean,
whole like gold is strong, flesh is weak. But
yeah. No, that's true. But they might retcon that. You never know. Uh, um, but if he's gonna change, it's probably forced because he doesn't really have a say in the future of his life right now
true.
because it's just an ornament. Um, so yeah, well, Redbone is gonna return. Goldhorde is gonna return. If they're gonna use the cure on him, I say no.
They could test it on him.
Oh yeah, they could use it as test. But then yeah, and then the eyes pop out and they can use the Veilstone still for the stuff. So it could work and would be interesting. But then the game loses an iconic character because I don't know, like the Goldhorde skull. He's been in trailers. There's been statues of him. I don't know if they want to change that to another human.
He was the icon that Flameheart has almost turned out to be
Mm-hmm.
before Flameheart was sort of introduced to the story.
Yeah,
Because he was on everything, wasn't he?
yeah, it was. Yeah. Um. So and Belle too, but but she came later.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's all we can say about that. Jaegner's second question: do you think Brixie is out there hiding in skeleton form, or perhaps in her human form, but simply changed like Duke had in Heart of Fire? So this is similar to those people thinking that Amaranta is Brixie. Do you think Brixie is out there in her human form?
It's implied, isn't it, that she's already found a cure, which is another layer to the complex story, but it can happen.
Hmm. I just read it as being trapped in her mask. That's how I read it.
She could be trapped in the mask. She's not I think she's not on the Sea of the Damned because the ferryman would have got to her before. And we would have known about that surely.
Hmm.
She could also
You
be.
you 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 think the ferryman would let her go?
Why would he? She's done nothing to allow him to forgive her.
Okay. No, just asking, and I agree with that. Yeah.
Like, he's the arbiter of who's good and who's not, which is quite a dangerous system. But there we go. Um, she could be in the mask. I really don't know because this adventure has come out of not left field. It's adding to a story that's sort of an open and closed book, and then there's really nothing that suggests that she could still be out there other than the Brethren might think that's the case. But
Hmm.
I really don't know. I can't answer that question.
Okay. I don't think so. Like in the journals, they talked about luring her spirit out of the shadows. I think they used the terms. So I don't think the spirit is not a human. So I don't think her human form is out there.
I would like to think we would have heard from Brixie by now if she wasn't trapped somewhere at least.
Hmm.
The mask makes the most sense.
Right, and she would have said hello to Tasha, right? If she were a human,
You would like to think so, wouldn't you?
unless it's Amaranta with her memories wiped. But we'll see. I have to say, like, I need more evidence. I need more evidence. It's a
Mhm.
nice theory for now, but I need more evidence for it before I start believing in that. It took me a long while to believe in the warrior equals flamer theory, and there was a lot more evidence for that. I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, hopefully we get that payoff in the next arc.
All right. Well, let's got our fingers crossed they find that post-it. So the next question comes from Eelwash. What are your thoughts on Amaranta's imposter syndrome? It's pretty funny that she became obsessed with a person and tries to emulate them. And in her journals, she tries to make parallels between herself and Briggsy. Do you think this will be her downfall in some way?
Yeah, I think they've sowed the seeds for this a while ago with the Forsaken Hunter adventure. Um,
Hmm.
and Wanda with an O now, the shopkeeper seems to suggest that her sister doesn't like fuck ups, and Amaranta is just, obsessed with gloating and sort of she seems more in love with the idea of the brethren than the brethren themselves.
Yeah, she
And
wants to belong, right? That's how I see it.
yeah, she wants to belong, and I don't think Wanda's going to have much patience for her because she's just too
Unless,
egotistical, isn't she?
yeah, unless they're in love.
No, I don't know. I don't know if Wanda would reciprocate those feelings.
I mean, the journals are still, the little heart shaped between two female figures. I don't know.
True, although it could be that Wanda sees it as more of like a fraternal relationship, like a camaraderie.
Maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, I can't see Wanda tolerating her, especially considering she's got the whole skeleton curse going for her. And she was, and it was,
Yeah.
and it was implied that Flameheart was sort of inside her head when she got turned. So,
Hmm.
like, what has that sort of done to her personality? She
Hmm.
could be using those two. She could be using the Brethren. She could be using the Catman.
Wanda could be using.
Yeah, Wanda could. I think
Hmm.
Amaranta's downfall, yeah, will definitely be her imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because I bet she
Uh,
fawns over the Catman when he gets introduced.
Could be. Yeah. Or maybe she turns and was like, all right, maybe I need to start making my own stories. She could be inspired by Briggsy because Briggsy is all about her building a personality, right?
hmm It seems, going back to the belonging thing, it seems Amaranta has the personality of a wet fish. And she wants to just replicate things that she sees in other people,
Hmm.
like you say, to try and build up herself. And it just doesn't work. And I can see Wanda just getting tired of that.
Hmm. Do you think she's the first with Dog Brethren to go then?
Well, I guess Rathbone technically was, but next she's the one to go next. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. We'll see. I like Amaranta. I really like her. Um, she's not admirable, but that's why I like her. She's an interesting character, and I understand her motivations.
I certainly think the Brethren has taken a step back in their sort of interest and intrigue since Rathbone went, and I guess the Siren Queen, and even
And David
and
Jones.
Davy
Like, well, let's
Jones,
be fair. Yeah.
because their leader is completely off screen, and he's a hype beast at the moment, isn't he? We're all hyping him
Hmm.
up, but Duke doesn't really seem like his heart's in it. We know deep down he's a good character. Amaranta seems a bit too egotistical and like obsessed with herself, and Wanda is the only one that really makes sense. But even then, she's like an offshoot of the Flameheart storyline, and
Hmm.
she accomplished bringing back the Reaper's bones, but since then she's just failed at pretty much everything she's done.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough, I guess. Well, not really. Yeah, they did Staff, and that went really well, and that took a lot of planning from Wanda.
But then she got absolutely. She was like, "Oh yeah, let the pirate legends come and save Merrick," and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, we're gonna follow you to the end of the earth." And Merrick's like, "I'll just become a ghost then." Ramsey's here,
Mm.
and she's like, "Oh, okay then,"
Right.
and then that
It,
thread just ends.
and they can still threaten his family, so it doesn't really make that much sense. You can still threaten the family if you know he's a ghost. Like, it's not like he comes oblivious for information from the living world like that. I mean, he
hmm
still knows.
True. I
But
think.
whatever. And still, and this is another thing. We still don't know the secrets that Merrick had,
hmm
and it feels like it's not going to be important for this arc. Um, so
The problem I have, last thing to say on this, is that you
yes.
have the factions of the Pirate Lord and Athena's Fortune and Flameheart and the Reaper's Bones, and generally their at least heads are big, powerful characters, both in influence
Hmm.
and like physical prowess. Because Ramsey's got the magic, Flameheart's got the physicality, and I guess the magic, but we haven't really seen that yet. Um, and they're both intelligent and they both have cunning. And when you compare that to the Brethren, they're a ragtag band of outcasts, and they, even with like the staff and stuff, because they don't have that central leader, they don't really feel
Yeah.
like a threat.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's true.
And
But we'll get there
yeah,
eventually.
Hopefully we get a captain tease at the end of this. I don't think he'll be in it in the finale, but he should get his
No.
tease.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, gives us a silhouette or him in skeleton form or a picture or a drawing in those new journals we were talking about earlier.
Just in time for the Tall Tales for A Pirate's Life 2 in the summer in July.
Aye. There's one more thing before we go to the next question, because you said that Chuk is more of a good guy, which I'm inclined to agree with that. But in one of his journals, he did say that he wants to fight Ramsey. He wants to fight both Flameheart and Ramsey, like Wanda does. So you're not really a good guy if you want to kill Ramsey, are you?
He says he wants to beat Ramsey and he wants to beat Flameheart, but doesn't mean he wants to kill them.
Okay, but why does he want to beat Ramsey?
I guess he doesn't agree with the pirate's life, does he? And Ramsey emboldens and is an example of that, of the life the pirate's life can bring you. He's a success of the pirate's life, and that's the antithesis of what Duke is, a failure in the pirate's life.
Okay, interesting take. I still need to form an opinion on that. Yeah.
And it seems to, from that journal to me as well, that he doesn't remember the whole thing with Flameheart.
His past life, you mean?
Yeah, I don't think he
No,
remembers
he doesn't.
it.
No, he doesn't. No, not at all. All right, so let's go to the next question. This comes from speakers Sart. Am I the only one who found the original Briggsy plotline a bit forgettable? Getting Telltale stories in the new adventure format is a cool idea, but should they really last 3 adventures? I say no. I say yes. So there you go, speaker.
I say yes as well. I think people underestimate the fact that Shores of Gold is basically all about Briggsy, and it's all about following in her footsteps, not Ramsey's, not the Gold Hoarders. There's a little bit of like Grey Marrow towards the end, but it's mainly Briggsy because it circles back to her journal right at the very end.
Yeah, we're just following her adventure.
I think the fact she gets killed off in the second Tall Tale is detriment to that, and it makes you forget about her. But, you know, it was all about her journey.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I think it's great we're getting more of this, and hopefully it will get fleshed out a little bit more. So, sorry, don't agree with you there, speaker.
I see where he's coming from. Like, for these new adventures, it'd be nice to have, I guess, like for me, I'd much rather have new lore and, you know, focus on the overarching Athena versus Reaper plot at the moment, with the Brethren coming in later. But it's nice that they're interweaving these older characters in with that plot as well, to give them a bit of a spotlight.
Yeah, it's true. So the final question comes from Firebird, and this one is specifically for you, AShinyRay.
Mm-hmm.
When you played the adventure, were you hoping for more? If so, please tell us.
Oh, define more. That's a really good question. Yeah, I was just hoping for a bit more. Just more, not more of the same, but I guess, like, God, that's a really good question. What would I expect out of this adventure?
I can answer it, but he didn't ask me, so.
Well, you're going to answer it after I've finished. To answer it in a really easy way, it just felt painfully paint by numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if not, this is necessarily a bad thing, but it's like they took a Tall Tale, made it shorter, and then just called it the adventure, you know? And just to have this sort of semblance of, I'm not excited about the Briggsy plot, to be fair. I'm excited what the Brethren are doing, because that means we're a little bit closer to the captain, but I guess my sort of slight disappointment as well comes from, we're going from Flameheart coming back, and we see that reveal in the stream to, don't forget about the Brethren, and they could do a better job of tying this narrative together, all plot points. But yeah, like, I still can't answer what I expected more of. Maybe I need to think about that a bit more. What about you, Blubber?
I wanted a more memorable experience. Like maybe we see the Dark Brethren show up, or maybe we see them using their staff to create those green patches. Just something like that. Just to make it memorable, maybe a better ending, like a twist at the end, or a setup for the next adventure. As it is, it just felt like a really good voyage, but not a memorable adventure.
Yeah.
But he didn't ask me, so.
So it doesn't count. Maybe a bit more of a Briggsy tease would be nice. Just like a little hint. Like, just to keep us guessing, like, is she alive, is she not? Rather than a journal.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe a journal left behind by Briggsy would have been nice to switch it up.
Do you know what didn't help this adventure? The trailer.
I liked the trailer, actually.
I did not like the fact that it was all about Tasha putting up decorations and she doesn't even say a damn word. They didn't even pay for someone to say a line.
And did you notice she pulled them all down again, too?
Yeah, I put that in my video as well. It was really annoying, like Christmas decorations, but they don't exist anymore.
Aye, indeed. But yeah, I think that's it. Those are all the questions, at least. So thanks again to those that submitted them. Make sure to join the Salty Hippo Discord if you want to submit your own. I always post an announcement when we are close to recording a new episode. I also want to remind our listener that this podcast is also on Spotify and Amazon Music, so if that's more convenient for you, you can listen to us there. Keep in mind that new episodes premiere on YouTube first and will be on Spotify and Amazon a few days later. And you can also follow us on Twitter at BestCOT Podcast. Link for that will also be in the description. So, just like usual, we have come to the end of this podcast, and I want to thank my amazing co-host for showing up to another episode. And can you tell our listeners where they can find your content?
You can find me at ShinyRay on YouTube. Just pop me into the search bar and I should have come up. And you can find me on Twitter as well at AShinyRayQuasar. Tweet me. I usually respond to tweets anyway, so feel free to do that. And the way you posted that as well, like, I don't show up for the podcast at all. I think I've missed a handful of them, so... But yeah, that's besides the point. That's where you can find me.
It's just a joke. I think you missed out on 2, and we had replacements. Better replacements, mind you, so...
Just sounded a little bit biting as all.
all right, sorry for that. And yeah, if you want to check out my content, you should go to Captain Blubber on YouTube, and that's it. So make sure you give this podcast a thumbs up. That's always appreciated. And let us know how you feel about this adventure in the comments. Let us know. We read every single comment. So that's it. If you did listen to the end, just know you are a better person than almost everybody else. So thanks again, and take care.
Take care, guys.
All right.